Pete Hegseth is in a lot of trouble. And what happens when someone who has a problem with alcohol gets into a lot of trouble? Well, they get into a lot of drinking. And it looks as though Pete Hegseth has done just that, because there are reports that have come out that say that Donald Trump is looking to replace his defense secretary. And this just comes yesterday as one of Pete Hegseth's allies in the Pentagon came out against him, saying that President Donald Trump has a strong record of holding his top officials to account. Given that, it's hard to see Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth remaining in his role for much longer. This is an op-ed written by someone who literally worked with Pete Hegseth. John Uliart is former chief Pentagon spokesman and lead communications at the National Security Council of the Department of Veteran Affairs in President Donald Trump's first term. He resigned from the Pentagon last week. He was a senior communications advisor on Trump's 2016 campaign. So this is not just like some random person from the government. This is a Trump acolyte saying Pete Hegseth has to go. And he also said, now this is an op-ed. This is all his voice. There are very likely more shoes to drop in short order, with even bigger bombshell stories coming this week, key Pentagon reporters have been telling sources privately. Well, as I'm sure you know, that turned out to be true, because as we learned yesterday, Pete Hegseth decided to share war plans in Signal in a second chat with his family. The chat was set up during Hegseth's tumultuous confirmation hearing process as a way for his closest allies to strategize, two of the people familiar with the matter said. But Hegseth continued using the chat, which had more than a dozen people in it, to communicate after he was confirmed. And then quote here, "It's been a month of total chaos at the Pentagon, from leaks of sensitive operational plans to mass firings. The dysfunction is now a major distraction for the president, who deserves better from his senior leadership." And that is from that person who we just read earlier. So this is all kind of shaping up to the fact that what this report says is that Pete Hegseth is about to get replaced. But before we get to that, I just want someone who actually knows what it means to work and guard the military's secrets, to guard our nation's secrets, to talk about what it means when someone who worked with you says that you need to get taken, that you need to be fired. And this is Jake Sullivan on Midas Touch commenting on that.
Friend, as your supporter, as someone who actually came into work. Well, it's really amazing when someone who describes themselves as your friend, as your supporter, as someone who actually came in to work for you, leaves and writes within 100 days of you taking office an op-ed in which he describes, as you said, a total meltdown, utter chaos, and frankly, basically says President Trump should fire you. Now, I'm one who believed, as I think you are, that Secretary Hegseth should never have been nominated and should never have been confirmed in the first place. So all of this, in a way, wasn't just predictable. It was predicted by a lot of people who said that putting a person like this into this role would result in disastrous leadership at the Pentagon. And that's exactly what we've seen across the board. And we've seen other extraordinary statements from his former senior aides, basically saying we were fired for no good reason. We don't get what's going on. And if Secretary Hegseth can't even run his front office, how can he possibly run the entire Pentagon?
That's a great question. If he can't even run his staff, there is absolutely no way he is running the Pentagon well. And we have seen that already play out with the way that he's handling our nation's secrets and putting them into group chats with his family. And let's get into this report real fast from NPR that says that the White House is looking to replace Pete Hegseth as defense secretary. This comes as the White House has begun the process of looking for a new secretary of defense, according to a U.S. official who is not authorized to speak publicly. I've got the White House comment on that at the end. This comes as Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth continues to find himself mired in controversy. NPR has also confirmed with the same official that Hegseth shared details ahead of last month's Yemen strikes with his wife and brother in a Signal chat on his personal phone, minutes after being updated by a senior U.S. military official. The news of the second Signal group chat about the mission was first reported by the New York Times. In March, Hegseth showed details about an action against Houthi targets. We all know about that. But in the last few weeks, 4 senior advisors to Hegseth have left abruptly, some accused of leaking. They've all released public statements suggesting infighting with the Department of Defense. And here's what Caroline Leavitt from the White House says, that President Trump stands strongly behind him. That is, if nothing else, that is a death notice when Donald Trump is saying that. Now, as for Pete Hegseth and his drinking problem, let's just watch this, and I want to see if you can notice it. Oh, let's put some sound on.
What do you want to say, sir, about the Signal chat controversy?
You know, what a big surprise that a few leakers get fired and suddenly a bunch of hit pieces come out from the same media that peddled the Russia hoax. Won't give back their Pulitzers. They got Pulitzers for a bunch of lies. Pulitzers for a bunch of lies. And on hoaxes, time and time and time again. And as they peddle those lies, no one ever calls them on it. See, this is what the media does. They take anonymous sources from disgruntled former employees, and then they try to slash and burn people and ruin their reputations. Not going to work with me, because we're changing the Defense Department, putting the Pentagon back in the hands of warfighters, and anonymous smears from disgruntled former employees on old news doesn't matter. So I'm happy to be here at the Easter egg roll with my dad and my kids.
Sorry, that kid's face is like all of us.
My dad and my kids, because, you know, this is what we're doing it for.
Oh, man. All right, I'm going to show you a little bit more. But first, this is not an anonymous source. This is not an anonymous source. The name is right there, Pete. Their name's right there. Maybe don't talk after you've had a couple of drinks. Can you smell the alcohol in his breath? I feel like I can smell it through the screen.
These kids right here. This is why we're fighting the fake news media. This is why we're fighting slash and burn Democrats. This is why we're fighting hoaxsters. Hoaxsters. This group, no, this group right here, full of hoaxsters that peddle anonymous sources from leakers with axes to grind, and then you put it all together as if it's some news story. And when we know it, we know exactly what it is. So I'm really proud of what we're doing for the...
All right, well, here it is. I don't know if you caught it, but there you go. This is not someone operating at full capacity. Look at the sideburn on the right side of his head. And it disappeared on the left side. My brother, he shaved one sideburn and left the other. He shaved one sideburn and left the other. If you cannot maintain your facial hair, I don't think you can maintain the largest department in the world. You can't maintain the largest military in the world if you can't maintain your goddamn sideburns, Pete Hegseth. Why don't you go take another shot?